I need some serious advice on how to handle all of this because my fiancé and best friend betrayed me, my mother supported their affair, then assaulted me, and now they're all dealing with the fallout. I discovered a week ago that, in essence, my entire family has been helping my fiancé, who is 23 years old, hide his affair with my best friend, who is 23 years old. I made this account because, honestly, I have no one else to tell it to, so my brain thought that online strangers would be the best, and none of my family or friends have read it. Thank God for the extra help. Emotional background. My fiancé and I have been dating intermittently since the 8th grade until 2020. I'm sorry if this is lengthy, but I have a lot to process, and I want to reevaluate everything I own and figure out how to approach my family, best friend, and fiancé with at least some dignity. Here are the names and ages of everyone involved. Richard is my half-brother. Maria is my half-sister, Angie is my mother, 56, Peach is my best friend, and soon-to-be best friend. Alex is my fiancé. Alex was taking a shower a week ago and left his phone on our bed. My fiancé and I have an open phone policy because we both had trouble getting cheated on in previous relationships, so it makes sense that I was packing my suitcase for a family vacation that will take place after my rehearsal dinner tomorrow. He shouted from our shower that I should mute his phone, so I went to get it and discovered that it was Peach calling him. At first, I was intrigued, but since she is in my bridal party, I didn't answer. This is a paraphrase of our conversation. Hey Peach, my fiancé is in the shower. What did you need, Peach? Oh, nothing, LEL. I just wanted to confirm with him. The flowers for your bouquet and the island. That's weird, I said, because I didn't change my mind about any flowers or anything. The florist was contacted last month, and everything was already paid for by Tony. Peach, are you sure I remember him telling me you changed your mind? After Alex got out of the shower, I told him that Peach had tried calling him about my flower choice. I asked him what made him think that I had changed my mind about the wedding flowers, and he paused for a moment. Looking back, I can see that he was essentially stalling and making the "oh, I'm thinking" face. That was the standard wedding conversation after that point. In retrospect, I should have thought it was strange that she would call him roughly 6 times to confirm a flower choice when she could have just texted me or Alex. We had dinner together, and I mentioned it in passing. I told him that I didn't remember that, and he simply shrugged, grabbed his phone, and went back to the bathroom. I hate to be one of those people, but for once, I felt paranoid and couldn't get rid of it. I tried to tell myself that it was just my old cheating trauma trying to resurface, but I just couldn't let this go. I pushed through until bedtime, and I pretended to fall asleep first. Normally, Alex and I cuddle to fall asleep when, since I knew he was asleep, I checked his phone once more. I looked through his Instagram, Snapchat, and messages, but I couldn't find anything. Next, I checked his Facebook Messenger, which he uses to communicate with his family abroad. I only saw his immediate family, and the majority of the messages were about obtaining plane tickets to attend the wedding, which was scheduled for December and had a winter wonderland theme. However, when I looked through his messenger archives, from my past relationships, the horrifying truth was revealed. There was a group chat with Peach, Richard, Angie, and Maria that was created a year ago. Alex and Peach admitted to having an affair with my family. My mom initially embarrassed them, but she later asked Alex if he loved Peach because you can't control who you love. That was helpful, and he replied that he was positive he loved me too. Maria and Richard then offered that Alex bring up an open relationship with me. They are both married and in open relationships. As I read, all I could think about was how in the real world could my family betray me like that? How could Peach betray me like that, especially since we've been friends since kindergarten and even grew up with Alex? It's working for them in whatever la-la land they live in at this point. And he told them that it seemed too deep to try to bring it up with Angie, my mom, whom I hate to even call at this point. They said that they would cover for Alex and Peach until he felt strong enough to bring up an open relationship with me. I honestly wanted to throw up, but I was just taking screenshot after screenshot, and the more I read, the more I discovered that Peach had taken my place on our previous family trip. I had a really bad stomach a while back, so I couldn't even begin to imagine what they did on the trip. And the fact that Alex dared to say he loves me too. How could she process all of this in her mind and tell my fiancé that she loves him too in this disgusting group chat? What hurts me the most, I believe, is that my mother was complacent about everything. She knew for a whole year that my fiancé was cheating on me, and that's taking the longest. I believe there are more details in the group chat, but these were the main points I've known for a whole week. It's been eating at me inside, and I want to blow up and scream at them all. I want to ruin their lives the way they ruined mine. I just need advice on how to approach them, how to even start, and how to express my anger. I'm going to confront them tomorrow at our rehearsal dinner because I feel like if I just let it all out, I'd just look crazy. My fiancé's affair with my best friend has been hidden by my family, and I'm not sure how to approach them or what to say to them when I do. Additional comments from OP. Comment here. I do have some additional information to add for some frequently asked questions, one of which is why you're having the rehearsal dinner so soon. I bought the apartment while Alex was living with his roommates in his dorm, so I let him live with me. Initially, Alex and I decided on 3 rehearsal dinners, one for my family and friends, one for when his family and friends are in town, and the final one for our families together. Because our friend groups and families are large, and most people had conflicting schedules for the one day we tried to plan, we simply decided to divide them into groups and have dates that worked best for them. We've been living together for 2 years now, and he and his roommates weren't getting along after some friend drama. His name isn't on the lease, so I've done a little research, and I'll take advantage of this. We have a cat, but after all of this, she's staying with me, and I'll fight him tooth and nail for her half-sibs. Yes, they fell down that train of thought that humans aren't meant to be monogamous, and they both have poly partners, and that was discussed with their I am her affair baby, as I've been called, and my mother is a very religious person. She thought that if she confessed, she would be saved and redeemed, but the opposite happened. On their end, nothing is wrong. My relationship with my mother is at best turbulent, and still, after the emotional and mental abuse she inflicted on me for the majority of my childhood. When I turned 18, she apologized, and I thought she was genuinely sorry, and we were working towards rebuilding a bond. I guess a Redditor pointed out that this incident might be the reason she hates me, but I don't understand how this would be my fault, or why she would even hold on to that grudge for that long. Does anyone know I saw the messages? No, I deleted them from his phone after taking the screenshots, and I just kept them on mine. I have a passcode for my gallery NFWP in there, and she was expelled from her church group. Anyone who lives in a small town knows that rumors run wild. My mom handled more diplomatic things, like invitations and our gift registry. I hope this is enough extra information for some people. I'm going to bed soon to get ready. I changed my code on it, and Alex hasn't checked my phone, so I feel safe in that regard. I also changed the passcode, and if he asks, I'll just tell him some BS lies about how my niece tried to look at pictures and I had to stop her. The wedding was on December 5th, and who paid for it? Tomorrow is going to be a long and emotional day, but I know that with all of your support, I will be okay. I hope to at least give you all an update. It's been about 3 hours since the rehearsal dinner, and everything is going well right now, but I'm glad the difficult part is over. Before I share the update with the people who are threatening to dox me to prove my story isn't real, please, go fuck yourself. I'm going through a very turbulent time in my life, and the last thing I need is some people on a personal mission to prove that my ordeal is fake. I already have to deal with an abusive mother. I already have too much to worry about, and my emotions are still raw and high. I apologize if I rambled in some parts. I've included a link to my original post so that you can read it in context. Just in case you haven't seen it, here is the update. I ended up taking bits and pieces of advice from everyone last night. I was honestly expecting Alex's parents to ignore it or not believe me, but they called rather quickly and asked if I had any concrete proof of them cheating aside from their confession. I told them that I didn't, and they asked for more screenshots. I sent them a good chunk of the screenshots, and his mother made me feel terrible for sending them. I was torn between going ghostly and going all out on everyone. After crying and expressing regret for her son, she quickly became distraught. His father called and asked if there was anything his son could do to make amends with me this morning. I was offended by his question, but I saw it from his point of view. Later, I asked him if I could be honest, and he agreed. I told him that there wasn't anything he could say unless his son shriveled up and vanished. His father said he understood. I asked him if they could keep this to themselves until I brought it up to Alex, and he replied that they could. We hung up for a while, and I believed that stressed out vomiting was uncommon, but it finally happened. Alex heard me, but I assumed that it wasn't the phone conversation that caused me to throw up, so I went outside to have it because he woke up and tried to rub my back. I held my hand up and wiped myself off. It was about 7 in the morning. Alex asked me how I was doing in the morning, and for the first time I saw nothing but red, but I remained calm. I'm not sure why. But I suppose that will be my ability that I will maintain. I chose to ignore him and simply went back to sleep, waking up at 8 in the morning. Monsieur Alex told me that he needed to finish something before going to the restaurant to begin preparing for the rehearsal dinner. I told him that it was okay, and that I would see him later. Before he left, he said that he loved me, and that this was one of the days he was looking forward to. I said that I did too, trying not to be too angry about it after he left. I collected every screenshot for those who are unaware that you can set up text messages to be sent out at a specific time. I chose to send it to everyone, including Peach's family, our friend groups, his family, and me. I set it to go out at 1:25 p.m. Since the dinner was halfway over and gifts would be arriving early for us, etc. I gathered up the frustration that was building inside of me and went to the. When it was time, my mother and her husband were already at the restaurant. My mother hugged me, and all I could do was stand there and feel her hands on me, almost like she was personally violating my spirit. I gave her a quick tap hug to avoid raising suspicions, and we went inside. The guests began to arrive, and everyone was surprisingly on time, except my grandparents. But they moved slowly, so I didn't blame them. After everyone was there, Alex went on a lengthy spiel about how happy he was that everyone could come, and how he was excited for his family for the next dinner, which was scheduled for November 20th. He talked about how I was the love of his life and how happy he was that our families would mix and we could become one. I wanted to ask him how he could say that, but all I gave him was a fake smile and nod. Peach was essentially acting like a naive dog, grinning and clapping for us. It's amazing how far people will go in real life to have their cake and eat it too, and I was so stressed that I could hardly eat, getting to me so badly. At the time I set for the messages, people's phones began buzzing, and Alex's and Peach's phones were BL up. I'd like to admit that for once, a real smile appeared on my face. It was like witnessing a whole kingdom fall apart, and the horrified looks on Peach's and Alex's faces when they looked at me were golden. That's the one memory I will cherish from this emotional day. My aunt lost it, and she began calling my mother a nasty, heartless bitch repeatedly. My mother quickly checked her phone and discovered that I had sent. As some of you suggested, she is still upset about being caught having an affair and being shunned. As evidenced by the screenshots, she began screaming and became irate, saying that I was trying to ruin her life again. My grandparents' reaction hurt the most because they began screaming at my mother. My grandmother was attempting to stop my aunt from screaming with some of our other guests, and my grandfather was screaming at my mother that he didn't raise a child at this point. I believe that my body didn't know what to do, so it did everything. The tears just kept coming. My cousin escorted me outside as quickly as she could, with Alex chasing us down. He kept screaming my name and begging to talk, as most of you suggested he would. I hate to admit it again, but I took pleasure in the fact that my grandfather continued to yell at Alex with some things I can't say here because he was very explicit. I just started laughing and crying. My cousin was pushing him away from her car so she could get in and drive off, so I ignored him. She took me to my aunt's house and told me to stay there and not answer the door for anyone. I felt like a child being left alone at home, and I just sat on the floor until all the emotions I had been holding inside for a whole week finally came out. After an additional hour or so, my aunt and cousin returned home, and they gave me a hug for at least 5 minutes before we parted ways. After my cousin drove away with me, Alex returned and began yelling at Peach for ruining everything. They got into a heated argument, and some of our friends tried to break them up. My grandparents, Aunt and Tony, my mom's husband, were probing my mother for answers. I noticed that my aunt had some scratches on her. I assumed they couldn't keep my aunt from telling my mom for very long. My aunt caught me up on everything. Tony was screaming and reading some of her messages aloud at this point, pleading with him to stop so she could explain. My aunt added that she should start explaining because all she sees is a worthless mother and a vile person. This set my mother off, and she began screaming about how she hated me and how I ruined her life and made it difficult for her, feeling like she could never be happy. I couldn't go to my mom, so I told Tony that I had offered my ticket to Peach so she could have a nice break for herself. For background, my aunt is infertile. She claims that I was the daughter she never had, so in her mind, she went full mama. Bear mode on my birth giver, as I call her. In the last 22 years of my life, my aunt has been more of a friend to me than my mother has ever been. To put it succinctly, I'm getting emotional again, and the exhaustion and guilt she felt because I was always a constant reminder of her biggest mistake ever, that she regretted not aborting me when she had the chance. An empty stomach isn't helping with this. In addition, Tony is divorcing my mom, whom he's suspected of cheating on for a few months. Peach revealed to her that Alex texted her that he was sleeping with her because he felt I was becoming distant from him. A while back, I was working overtime to save money for his birthday, and he was lonely and didn't know how to bring it up to me. Peach's father bombarded her with calls and will be cutting her off financially. To prevent my brain from blowing up in my face, I've been receiving texts and calls. My mother has been on a tirade with our family, saying that I'm a bad person for ruining her world once more. I should have considered that before approving anything. The half-siblings felt that it wasn't their place to say anything to me, and I should have expected Alex to look elsewhere because people aren't monogamous, and people love who they love. My boss emailed me back to say I was allowed to use some paid time off for as long as I need it, so I will take it since I'm seriously considering moving somewhere. I've already emailed my landlord and will be handling everything next week, but for now, I've left my phone in the other room, and I'm updating this from my aunt's computer. My aunt offered for me to stay with her until I get out of this chaotic mess, and I accepted it because I have no intention of returning to that apartment. I want to thank you all again for all of the support I've received, and I will be offline for a few days after today because I feel like I need to just disconnect from everything and comfort myself. My aunt and cousin are at my place getting some of my things, and my cat Alex is there pleading with them not to take my things and to have me just talk to him. I'm thinking maybe LA or even North Carolina because I've heard they have a good cost of living there. Conversation will help me deal with the emotional and mental scars I have, which will take time to heal. I also know that I have a long road ahead of me in therapy. Many people have pointed out that my mother mistreated me severely, and now that I know how much she despises me, it will be easier to stop communicating with her. Dinner imploded. Life stinks, but I know I'll get through it. Thank you all for your messages and support once more. I sincerely appreciate it. Reddit is a great place, aside from the crazy people I've encountered at this point. Thank you for the update. I hope Reddit won't screw me over. If things can't be resolved in my first post, I'll summarize things for my first update. For context for newcomers, I've posted a recap in the comments, but it's buried, and I'm not sure if I can pin the comment. I messaged Alex's parents with the screenshots, and his parents were very upset. I scheduled text messages to be sent to everyone. As the scheduled time passed, everything descended into chaos. Peach was being reprimanded by my now ex-friends for the reasons why things escalated, and her father cut her off financially. My grandparents, aunt, and Tony began questioning my mom about it. I also sent the screenshots to Peach's father, who is her only parent. Her mother is no longer with us, bless her. I also made sure they reached Peach's family. I added them to the scheduled mass text after I felt they should know. After my mom insulted me, my aunt physically assaulted her, something she is proud of. She keeps telling me that my cousin got me out quickly when the chaos ensued. Alex tried to chase us down, but my cousin stepped in between them and took me to my aunt's place, which is where I am now. I suppose that under pressure, she confessed to hating me and believes that I am the reason her life was difficult and ruined. I was confused at first because I didn't give a damn, but after I woke up and took a long, hot shower, I couldn't even unlock my phone or clear the notification before I got a call from one of my bridesmaids. She yelled at me about how I could ignore Peach and Alex in their time of need. Everything for me was taken from the apartment when she returned, and my cat was the most important item. That's where my last update left off, about them anymore. I asked her not to yell at me, but she persisted. She claimed that Peach had self-harmed when she sent me the pictures, which were very top surface level enough for the scar to show, and a small blot to appear. Whether or not it was deep enough, it still shook me, and I wanted to laugh on the phone because I knew she was doing it to rally people on her side. After all, I wouldn't reply to her texts. She also claimed that Alex attempted to OD and that his friends discovered him at my apartment, all dazed, and took him to the hospital. My friend group has been severely divided since I didn't reply to either of them before them doing this, and I still have no intention of speaking to either of them. I don't care what they do for attention as long as they leave me in hell alone. He was cleared because they didn't have to pump and are keeping him on watch for the next hours, which is good. Just because I hate his guts doesn't mean he needs to die after this. Stated that Peach could use my ticket to accompany them on their trip. When Tony brought up his suspicions about my mother cheating, she began to yell at him and confess everything she had told him, including that my half-siblings weren't his, and a host of other extremely hurtful things. Tony had to call the police to remove her from his property. This morning, Tony followed up with me to confirm that he is divorcing her, and his lawyers are preparing his paperwork within the next week or so. He informed me that my mother confessed that I was the result of a lengthy affair she had with his best friend. My egg donor is a very brave woman, I'm learning. After learning that Tony was getting papers, she tried to backtrack, calling my aunt to beg her to stop Tony from doing this, or else she would end up homeless. She tried calling Tony and his family, but they all ignored her. This wasn't enough for my egg donor, who knew my aunt's schedule and attempted to come over and attack me, but my cousin was still with me, so she was unable to do so. Entering, however, was painful after she screamed at me about my very low insecurities, and I began to panic. My cousin took me upstairs, and when we heard a loud crash, my mother broke through the window, ran upstairs, and attacked me for the first time in my life. I hit my egg donor back, letting out all of my anger at her. My cousin was having trouble separating us, so she had to run to get our neighbor. I only have a few bite marks and scratches, but other than that, I'm fine. I'm also filing charges against my egg donor in the hopes of receiving a restraining order, but I gave him Tony's address in case she tried to return there. I see that those bad people won't stop until they hear back from me, but strangely, I got a call from my half-sister who tried to apologize, but I cut her off because I don't want to hear it any longer. She then scoffed and dared to ask if I could watch my nieces while she, her husband, and her boyfriend went on a trip. I adore my nieces and nephews, but I told her that she could go to hell. She started yelling that I was treating her unfairly and punishing her children, so I told her that I was punishing her. She said, never mind, and that I couldn't see my nieces. I knew this was possible, but it still hurt my feelings, and I'm pretty sure she's telling them that I despise them. I'm keeping the screenshots, and my aunt and cousin said they would support me if they contacted me again. That's all, but I'm expecting more to happen. Honestly, my half-brother has blocked me on everything, and I'm pretty sure he's siding with my half-sister. I'm just really upset and angry, but I wanted to give you guys an update. If nothing else happens, this will probably be my last update because I just want this whole situation to end well, even though I start therapy next week. My aunt and cousin are currently packing up Alex's house. I also know that the egg donor hates losing, and she won't stop until she wins things and dropping them off at a friend of his, Kyle, who has been supporting me throughout this as well. He dropped off my favorite fruit for my aunt this morning, and he told me that I could talk to him at any time. I asked him if he would be in contact with Alex going forward, and he replied that he was just holding on to his things until his parents could pick them up. I truly appreciate him, but that's all for now. I'll update in the comments once I receive that restraining order. Thank you for watching the video. If you're interested in hearing more stories like this, go ahead and subscribe to our channel. Click like, then share it with your companions.